Okay, this is a little dark. I mean the lighting. Try this, but I really don't want to be blinded. Well, that may be my only choice at the moment. Okay, so I think this is... I can't remember. I think I did pages 1, and then I did pages 2. But I decided just to forget about pages 1, and I call pages 2 pages 1. Basically just pages. So it's still the same series of just squares, I guess. This one has a few of them. Have like mini series where I put in, like, I did 3 similar ones, and then I did 3 different ones, but they're similar in their own, sort of thing. Because I would do transfer from each other, so they would, the first one would influence the way the next one turned out. So I just wanted to make a comparison here. This is the frame that I used for most of them. You can see like this, the gnarly hot glue on it. And this is the old one. So, big difference. I made a few that were just bigger so on different paper. But these ones are quite a bit bigger. Wow, I didn't even do that yet until just now. So, okay, so I'm gonna go through all these and explain all the techniques. Okay, looks like I got plenty of time. This one was an acrylic pour transfer, and it was just the leftover acrylic pour from the first one that I did. So actually I have these 3 in series right now. This is the first acrylic pour, and it's still drying, but this one looks really pretty neat, except that not so good in the light. But yeah, without the light shining off it, I think it looks pretty cool. It is concerning that it is so much paint that I'm gonna have to stretch it out a little bit or something, and hopefully not crack anything. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. Kind of hard to see all the detail because this one is really, really detailed. Of course, I didn't fucking do any of it. It's just an acrylic pour. I just kind of threw it on there. Okay, so that was the first one. This was the second one. And this one I thought I think this is the way up that I wanted. This one I thought kind of looked like a heart. I don't know. Looks a little like an aortic pump to me. This one I actually like, because I did the acrylic pour, I didn't like it, and then I kept on going, so I actually did make this one. That one, sure, I made it, but it had its own will, because it's just an acrylic pour. And this one actually moved things around and added brush strokes and things like that. So that one, I didn't like either one of these. I thought they were trash, and I still don't like this one. This was an acrylic pour, and then these little dots here on the bottom, I move this around a little bit. Ugh, this is the worst spot to film this. I don't know why I did it here. Yeah, so these little spots, I was really just trying to use up all my paint that I had made mixing medium with, so I was watering it down and then using it and stuff like that. So these dots were literally just dots that I splattered on there, and then I used the pine brush to spread them out. Yeah, so it's just a mess. Nothing really important. This one, oh god, this is going to take so long to get through all these. I don't even know how many I have. This was, I think when I had the streaks, by moving it of course, I It's not really that important, but I think I streaked it with the old paintbrush, so that one's, it's got like, it's only got like that many. Okay, so those are the acrylic pours. I only did 3. This one is just a frame transfer. That's it. Just a frame transfer, and this is the hot glue that's left over on the sides. So. Wow, this is really hard. Okay, so I gotta hold them this way, probably. Even though I like them upright. This one was pretty cool. Let me see if I have the other one first. No. So they're not quite in order, but that's fine. This one is pretty cool. So it's just the hot glue, and I'll get to the hot glue thing that I did, but I reused the hot glue strands and made them just into a little ball, and then I just dropped them in paint and threw them on the canvas, just like that. Canvas, what am I talking about? So, yeah, very cool, lots and lots of detail. I tried it with string, not the same thing, because the stream saturates, and the hot glue does not absorb anything, it just holds it on its surface. So the cool thing about that is that you can keep on throwing it, and it'll get lighter and lighter and lighter until you just don't have any more paint on it. So, very cool. It's my own new technique. I may not share with anyone for a while, if nobody knows about it. This one, shit, I don't even know. This is one of the first ones I did. This is just brush strokes. I think the outside was a frame transfer, and then the middle was just a Ace Hardware brush for painting. Yeah. Oh, and a lot of these paints, especially in the beginning, I was trying out the Walmart paints, the apple tree paints, because they're super cheap. And I kind of did like them because they're watery, and if you water them down more, then they kind of make like a watery look to it. So pretty crap for actually painting, but when you want to just do textures, it's fine. Yeah, so this one's just, pretty self-explanatory. I probably don't need to do most of these anymore, but I do have a few weird techniques that I was doing. So you can see there's a transfer on this one. The outside was, I think I painted the inside pretty haphazardly, and then painted the outside over the top, and you can really tell. And then I also did a frame transfer over the top of that, and I really didn't like how this one was turning out, so I kept on adding more detail. So then I did another frame transfer. And, yeah, so I also did a light. You can see the watermarks up on top. Sorry, I'm not even showing you these. So you can see the watermarks up on the top. And stuff like right over here, this little worn in part right here, was, I take felt. I was using black felt, or like this part right here. Black felt, and after it's all dried, just rub it with felt like sandpaper, and rub the paint off. So it does, I think it gives it a cool look. I have to wait until I scan these to actually get a good look at them. Yeah, a lot of the borders. See, the first ones was like half of the picture was the border, which I think makes a really dramatic effect. And I think I may go back to that because yeah, it really does make the center really pop out more, and then you can do more things with the border where these are like all center, no border, like ish. I'm not a big fan. So I may go back to doing it the old way. I didn't realize it until I had already started doing lots of them, which is fine because, it's about doing something different, I guess. This one was a frame transfer when I was doing the hot glue thing. So it does have a lot of the lines on it, but not a whole lot because it was light paints. So just all the curlies and stuff up here. Nothing special. This one was one of the first hot glue ones. course I spread hot glue across the top, and then and I did it over wax paper so that I could peel it up and save most of the strands, even though they still break, and then put it on another piece and transferred it that way, and then painted over that, peeled it up, and transferred it again. So I'm not sure which one this was. But yeah, I basically just transferred it as many times as I could. And it's got some, cool details in it. Pretty neat. This one was the new pine brush. So I found a pine fluff that was green and intact, and I was like, score. I think I finished this one too. I can't remember. I started working with, finishing things. So this one, I think I didn't like it initially. I did a coat of gray, light coat of gray, which kind of gives it that murky sort of look. And then you can see those black paints underneath, and then a coat of white over the black. And then I still was not liking it, so then I did the black brush where I kind of attack it like head on so that the brush spreads out. And it looks like some sort of frame transfer on the outside, which was really light. So this one, which one is this? That's funny. Don't really remember this one. But I could tell that I wiped it down with felt. This is the Ace brush, again for sure, mostly the Ace brush. And it looks like I did, I don't know what kind of paint this was. This must have been the Walmart paint though. And you'll notice that there are, I did do a little bit of mixing in between, so like down here is probably the super black, and then the kind of brownish stuff is the Walmart paint, I think. And then you'll see bluer stuff, which is either like black mixed with white or just the Artist Touch black. Yeah, kind of weird. I think I did it. Oh, wait a second. I'm going to set this one aside in case I remember. This one is the pine brush again with a border transfer. I did a lot of border transfers. I kind of just kept on flipping it over onto the next one, painting over it, flipping it over onto the next one, which is, how it goes. Yeah, just the pine brush, so it's got this, maybe this one the light would actually, I don't know. This one has, really, really hard to see on the camera. It's just a lot of white and gray textures on there. Definitely looks better in person, but really hard to see on the camera. Yeah, that's a little better. Anyhow, this one, maybe I should I should take a second look at this. It's not very interesting at all. It's just gray. Thanks. Yeah, not a big fan. This one I did today. Both of these are really cool. I'm going to start with this one because it's cool. I should kind of do like a matte finish on this one. Very, very cool. I really loaded on the spray paint for this. So what it was a new frame, and then I did hot glue over it for like probably 40 minutes. Just going up. Well, I had the frame like sideways like this. Look at that. That's cool. Really hard to see on the camera though. Really, really hard. Anyhow, I had the frame sideways. And I was just sitting there for 40 minutes, like going from the top, trying to drip it down like this, making little loops, and then I started to connect it like a spider web. And then I let that kind of sit, and I kind of worked on it a little bit, so I had a really, really intricate, and you can tell it's really intricate, web of glue, and then yeah, I need to mat this one pretty quick because I like that a lot. Anyhow, I had a web of glue, and then I took it outside and I pinned it to the porch upright. And what did I do? So this one turned out like really strange. So I did 3 of these. This is the first one. This one's also pretty cool. This is probably, yeah, one of the most intricate ones, but I really wish this camera did any of this justice because these things are kind of cool. Anyhow, so the first one was just black paint. Tried to put it on evenly. I really didn't do a great job. You can see the lines basically. So then I did a little splatter with the spray can, and then I did super black around the edge, just because I kind of did a sloppy job. Turned out okay. I was kind of impressed with the way that it turned out, but still a little disappointed because of my spray job. And then I was like, the webbing is covered in black paint, so if I remember right, I think I took the webbing off, flipped it around, and had this one behind it, and then spray painted white. And this one is probably one of my favorites. So this one has lots and lots and lots of lines. The black lines came out super sharp because the white paint like pressed it onto this. It's so cool. Super sharp. Yeah, it almost looks like I drew it. Dang, it kind of smudged down here a little bit. Didn't see that. That's fine. It's still fucking awesome. So, yeah. Those 3. Very cool. This one was a... Shit. Some stiffness. Stop. No. Go. Okay. Oh, that was... I think it's mine. This one, border transfer. This one really was kind of disappointing too. So I just did the border transfer and I was like, oh man, that border transfer looks real bad. And then I started to kind of work on it in the middle and I was like, what should I do? Fuck it. And I took the pine brush and I was kind of, oh no, shit. This one might have been the grass brush, the brush that I made out of just grass. It had been fresh yesterday or the day before. And then I used it and I've had it hanging out for like 2 days. So, fuck, I'm not really sure which, it's one of the two. It's either the pine or the grass. But, I'm gonna guess grass. Anyhow. I made a little border with, looks like regular black. And then I took string, because I liked that, the hot glue throwing thing that I did. And I took string and soaked it in paint. And I got some cool little things, and it goes along the side a little bit. So it's a lot more subtle when it's on the side, but I just want to kind of put it into the painting a little bit too. So, yeah. Neat. And of course I spilt a little bit of ink on it. Totally intentional. This one. What's this one? So this is one that I did tonight. I think this was a transfer from... I had... No. Right. This one was me doing other things on top of the paper. So I was working on a cut. You can see the circles here. And then kind of just did some lines and just testing paint out on it. And then I even had like some string that I was testing out. And then I remembered, oh geez, I keep on forgetting that I kind of want to do like just a full wash before some of these paintings, and I'm just doing like just painting with no wash. So I was like, well, it's not too late, so I did a gray wash over the top of what I already had. And then did some like regular brush strokes just around. And then there's string, of course, and then I think I took the pine brush again, and I really went at it with the pine brush. So this one really is kind of interesting. Strange that one of the more interesting ones is kind of really just mostly random shit. This one was a mixed bag because I really don't like that huge thick border. I have one out there that I'm not going to show because I hate it. It's so bad. I did a super black border. Don't do super black borders. This one is actually pretty cool. This one is a little like I don't know. You can use your imagination on this one pretty well, easily. So this one is just this might actually be the Walmart black or the artist touch black. Anyhow, it's just black. I'm pretty sure I didn't use any white, except for the finishing stuff. And I was burning a candle, and I was kind of playing with it and trying to burn wax into a cup so I could place the candle in the cup and it would stay. But I put a little on this on accident, so then I was like, well, I went with it. I added some more wax, and then I melted it and, just spread it around. And then I painted over that. But I used my hands for this. Oh, I think that's right. Is it on here? No, there's a different picture. But anyhow, I was using my hands, mostly the side of my hand like this. Because I didn't want fingerprints on it. And then use the ace brush around the sides. I really do like this one. This one is really interesting. It's good. The side has like kind of a wood sort of feel, and then the interior kind of like, I don't know, like I can imagine people, or I can imagine, 3 fires or something. Who knows? I really like, this one might be one of my favorites so far. Oh, and I made another one in the similar vein, just like I was trying to do sort of like a series. And this one was, I was trying to draw this is why I don't try to draw things, because it doesn't work. This one was supposed to be like plant life. But I don't know about that. So, yeah, I hold it up like this. Yeah, this is the backwards from the way I painted it, but whatever. And it's just, thick white edge with, I did the edge last. So I did do a wash over the entire painting. And then I did thick white edge over the side of that, and then I used the pine brush to spread it out and make it a little sloppy. And then I was just trying to do, strokes that remind me of a plant, and I did a gray wash underneath all of that. So, really simple. I can't tell if I use super black in the middle of that or not. I might have mixed some super black in, but it's mostly just that regular black. This one was a transfer from one of my first hot glue things, and there's still hot glue in it. I was trying to take most of the hot glue off, so it's a little more mysterious, I guess, as to how I would do it, because I don't want hot glue sticking on these things. So this is just one of the first transfers. Yeah, just threw on a whole bunch of paint on top of one of the very first things, and then transferred it across, stepped on it a little bit, I think, and that was it. So it's got a little like star up in the top right here, and I didn't like that. So on this one, I think it's on this one. Might have been the other one. Anyhow, on one of these two, this is the same fucking transfer basically. On one of the two, I tried to mask it with like more lines and shit. This one has a really nice border. For that, for this border, I do remember this. This is, it's, like, toilet paper. And I used the toilet paper, I would put some paint down, and then I would rub it into the paper. So it has this really, really soft look. So I'm going to have to do a little more of that. Super, super soft looking. Probably not, yeah, it's not really looking too good on the camera, but it is a soft look. I like that one. Bonnie came over and she asked me if she could buy one of these, so I fixed one of them. And one of them that she wanted was this one. It's just got a little piece of grass on it. So there's a lot of grass and stuff on my paintings. This one was a self-transfer, basically. So I put down a sheet in the middle here, painted over it, and then flipped it over and stepped on it really hard, and then peeled it up. And then, so I transferred the painting that I just painted onto the painting. I didn't realize how, like, Inception-like that was until now. But yeah, it's a self-transfer. It transferred to itself. Cool. That's an awful idea that I kind of like when I say it aloud. This is just a big old ace brush. And a bunch of white. A little bit of black in there. But mostly white. I really do like these soft ones. It's nice. It's like a, it's like the salt flats at dusk. Bonnie liked this one. This one is a whole bunch of super black. Oh, that is really... Super black shows up on the camera like nuts. Look at that. Wow. And it does not reflect at all. Yeah, this one is kind of cool. It's just super black, just a whole bunch of super black, and that's it. A little bit watered down, and that's it. Whatever. Nothing special. This is the one that Bonnie is going to buy, actually. So, oh fuck, what did I do? This was kind of early on, so I may have mixed the Artist Touch middle ground paint with super black. Which, yeah, it looks like I did have some super black out, because some of this does look like super black, like up here. And what did I do? Oh, yeah, so I painted it over. It looks like I used a little bit of a pine brush. So a few little drops of stuff on there. It looks like I just did it this way, and then I did it up, and I kind of just fucking added shit. But the key thing is that at the end I ran over it with felt. And that's what gives it this kind of unique look in total. And then, I like this one a lot because it almost looks like a castle down here. Looks like a castle and then a big old strange sky. I don't know. So after that I did a matte finish on this, I think. So yeah, it does have a finish on it. And yeah. So Bonnie's gonna buy this. I'm gonna do these ones for $40. I might even do 50 with how big they are. But I don't know. This one is another one that Bonnie kind of was looking at. This is just straight up what appears to be just regular black with the pine brush, I think. It could be the grass brush, but anyhow, it's probably not all that hard to get this kind of look, you know. Just a whole lot of black. And then it's got a gloss finish on this one. This is the first one that I tested my finishes out on, and this is a matte finish. And this is just a whole bunch of I think this is the cheap paint that I got at Walmart, and then I watered it down a little bit, kind of spread it around, and it's interesting because it has a sort of speckle to it because it's cheap, you know, and the paint just doesn't mix very well. So that's cool. Here is the painting that I was going for when I started painting again. This one here was what I had planned, which is just the hot glue transfer. It has a few flaws, but it's okay. The flaws aren't detracting too much, except for this one in the middle, which looks gnarly. Yeah, and this is super black. Just looking at it, I can tell. Oh, this one turned out really, really interesting. Okay, good. So we'll put that one. That was really important. So yeah, I did some of these today, like earlier today, and some yesterday, so they're still a little wet. Oh wow, that looks cool on camera. Almost looks like an octopus. But this one was a piece of grass that I laid down, you can see underneath, and then I painted over it without trying to move it too much. And I just set the painting aside for a little while. And I came back, and of course I was like, this is not even remotely done. So I added some details with just the ace brush. And you can see that I mixed up the paint a little bit because I do have super black up here. And then I have some of the crappier watered down paints around here. And I was using the like the water that I dip my brush in a lot, so that I would like you know, dip it in until it's pretty gray, and then maybe use it a little bit, and then like add paint to it directly so that it's, you know, it's got some paint in it, and then I would use that a little bit, and then I would come over it with white to fill in the gaps, you know, have a little bit of detail, dirty detail, and then I came back with a little bit of the pine brush through here. Yeah, so then there was like some, like down here, this little worm looking thing, that would be from the border, which had the hot glue still on it, and the paint would just kind of, you know, coalesce around it, and then when I peeled it up, it was still there, even though it was still wet, but the colors kind of formed around it. This one is just really interesting. Make it a lot of different ways. It's got cool lines and shit, so yeah, this one's neat. This is one of the ones that I wanted to show off earlier pretty badly. This one's really cool. Get a nice detail of how much fucking detail's in this. So this is just the hot glue splatter. And this looks like regular black.